And that leads us to the tip of the week. And today's tip of the week, I think, is really important and paramount to every directory website's success, because we need to understand the evolution of successful directories, because things have changed over the past few years, even the last decade, of what a directory website is, the value it brings to your members, and how you can really rally people and build a community around your directory rather than just being a website with a bunch of links in it. And we spent a good amount of time on the tip of the week because we wanted to be very thoughtful about this in the information that we're providing. And I think it'll help a lot of you out there who are either just starting out or looking for ways to grow your directory if things have been stagnant for a while. So before we could talk about the evolution of online directories, first we need to break them down to its most simplest components. And online directories are essentially websites where people can find and post searchable resources. So what does that include? Well, a lot of the websites that we use today are actually directories. And we chose a few brands here, and all of these are essentially directories. You can post content and you can search for content. And why directories are so awesome is they really allow you, if you're doing things right, to provide even a better service than Google. So you're not going to find on Google what Zillow provides for property listings or what RetailMeNot provides for coupons. These websites have actually done the monumental task of making themselves more valuable for the type of service they're offering than Google with respect to the type of information. And there's a lot of commonalities between directory websites, even all these brands that we see here. They allow people to create accounts. They allow people to, again, search for content. They allow people to post content. A lot of it is user-provided content on there. And I think one of the most important things here is these websites, these particular ones, mainly have a single content focus. And that's a theme that you'll notice us talk a lot about in the webinar Wednesdays, is really having a focus on your website. And we can see how successful they've been by having a single type of content focus. For example, RetailMeNot is coupons, Angie's List is finding professionals, Zillow is for properties, Eventbrite is for events, and Pinterest is for photos. So they have a good singular focus. And again, they've done the monumental task of doing a better job at presenting this type of content to Google, and that's why people use these directories, and they're awesome. Pat, do you have anything you wanted to add? Because I know we spent some time on this slide together, and you had some really good points that you had.
Yeah, you're definitely covering most of the primary ones that I want to share. But yes, the website, as you're building a directory, the person needs to think, this is the site I need to go to find X. It needs to be solving a problem. And all of these websites basically identified an issue or identified something that wasn't possible, and they improved whatever their niche was, so that users would eventually want to join their sites, and more importantly, keep coming back to the sites and using them.
Well said, well said. Yeah, they really give people a reason to come back because you're only going to find that type of content through these websites. Granted, they have competitors and whatnot, but these are the leaders in their markets. Mm-hmm. All right, so how were directories used in the past? Let's go back 10, 15 years. We all remember link building and getting a link to your website on as many other websites as possible, and those were all directories of links, basically. They might have had categories of different types of links based on the industry you're in, but it was pretty simple. They were simple resources. They'd be beyond a link and maybe some textual information like a name and a phone number. They didn't really provide much information. And there was a lot of thin pages and repeated content. So you really had to dig in to navigate. Now you can go to the homepage of a website and through one search field find exactly what you're looking for. So the other sites, they had lots of different hurdles that you had to click into to get to the content you were looking for. And all those pages in between that you were clicking really didn't have high value except for the the fact of being another section of the site with tons of links on it. And there is value for internal linking, but you know, back in the day, in the past, I think it was a little overdone. And again, now Google calls those thin pages. They really have no real valuable content on them besides a few links. Another strategy or way directories were used is people would just bulk import millions of records of any type of business data, and Google would actually start ranking those pages, and the website would potentially get a lot of traffic. Google wised up. Google now even knows if you're a new website and you just come out of the gate with millions of web pages, that's a red flag for them. So Google's smart enough to know sometimes when a site is growing too fast or has too many web pages. So they've adjusted their algorithms for that. And a lot of the sites back in the day, the directory sites, were designed to find out ways to outsmart Google. Ways to aggregate content or duplicate content and modify it slightly. And we all know the result of that is when Google, Office Dog here, when Google updates their algorithms, websites that were trying to outsmart Google get penalized. So maybe you invested a lot of time, resources, and money, and once Google updates their algorithm, your website gets affected negatively. Pat, do you know any instances or know anyone personally that was ever affected by a Google update or algorithm? It's happened to a lot of people, obviously.
Yeah, I think I even know one person that works at Brilliant Directories that you may be partners with that had an SEO company and had figured out a formula that was doing excellent for SEO and really built a small enterprise, basically identifying and leveraging that mistake that they found with Google, basically a weak spot in a formula. And eventually one of these Google releases came out to the algorithm and wiped out all of his progress. He was charging his customers a lot of money because he was delivering great results. And when this update happened and they weren't showing up on the first pages of Google, in some cases not showing up at all, he had a mess that he just couldn't clean because he built it the wrong way, meaning there was a shortcut. And as we all know, if you're going to build a business, taking a shortcut, finding a quick way to make a buck instead of actually building a foundation that is sustainable is not usually a very good approach. And basically, what they had to do is close the company and look for new ventures because that business model just wasn't sustainable. Continually trying to stay one step ahead of Google, and Google has the resources that they do, was not a good approach.
That's right. And it's not to say that directory websites never had value in the past. I just want to go back one slide. This is just what was available at the time, and things were just starting to blossom. There were portals and resource websites that basically were just links, and this was the way to do it. And Google was catching up with these strategies that people were kind of leveraging to make their sites show up artificially in the search results. So what's actually changed the last few years beyond the Google updates? Today, really the theme is obviously you want your website to be optimized for SEO and Google and things like that. And there's very straightforward best practices that you can follow and strategies that you can employ and checklists that you can make sure that you're marking off all your good SEO to-do list stuff. But it's a little bit different now. After you've done all your on-page SEO, Google is really looking at how your website is serving people and if your website is adding value. So part of the challenges today that not just directory websites, but most community websites, is you really need to earn people's trust. And that can come by being an authority in your industry, being seasoned. Obviously, the website needs to look good and professional, and also social proof, testimonials, how large your community is. Do you have an active social media following? Do people look to you for advice and information? Those are all ways that you can people look to you to see if you've earned their trust or you are in the process of earning their trust. Also today, there's just more competitors than ever before. Anyone can launch a website in 2 seconds these days. So anyone who has an idea, there's obviously more websites out there. There's more competitors out there. But also because there's more competitors, it's really harder to trick people because they're savvier. They know how to look for information. They can kind of look through the BS and see if a website is really established, or they're just trying to use a bunch of buzzwords and grab people's money. So people are a lot smarter. So even though there's a lot of competitors and noise out there, you can use that to your advantage by not just being another cookie cutter site, and cookie cutter like one of those link sites out there that we were just talking about, and actually having a voice and a brand and a culture and community behind behind your directory website, because that is stuff that is genuine and really can't be replicated by competitors. And also those savvier potential members, they're gonna know that your site and your brand is special in some certain way. So it's really more about serving people's interests rather than only focusing on how to outsmart the algorithms.
Well said, well said. And even in Google AdWords or any sort of advertising that you're doing, because people are so savvy, the algorithms have basically changed in order to identify if you're really delivering content that is worthy of people's trust. And they know that if they do a search term for what's the best watch to buy, and they click on a link, Google wants to see how long they stay on your website. Do you browse other pages? Are you interacting with that content? And basically that translates to trust, because users are very quick to open up a page and identify there's no quality here. There's nothing here of real value. I was tricked to click on a link. There was clickbait. This is not what I thought I was going to get. And they're going to leave right away. So it's just really important now more than ever to basically cater to them and deliver the quality that they're expecting when they're visiting your website.
Absolutely. The most important thing about this slide is that we spelled the word savvier correctly the first time around. But yeah, I want to go back one slide on the Google updates. Has anyone, if you want a show of hands, use the raise your hand feature, has anyone ever had a website that was negatively affected by a Google update in the last few years? All right, nobody's hands going up. That's a great sign. That means you guys are following best practices, so good on you for that. All right, so now that we know that the rules have changed, how have successful directories evolved with the times that are changing? And you're going to be, again, seeing some of the recurring themes that we keep talking about in the different webinars that we have. Basically, you need to put more care into your brand. Even if you're doing things quickly and swiftly, the presentation of your website to the world needs to be a little better crafted, well crafted compared to the competition. And part of that is simplifying your website's offering, purpose, and mission, etc. So the first thing that we talk about always is identifying your audience. And for real, you really need to choose one main audience that your website is going to cater to. There's oftentimes in the webinars where we're reviewing somebody's site and we say, okay, who is your audience serving? And we get a list of 6, 7, 8 different types of audiences. And there's no way for a new site to succeed trying to serve that many audiences because of resources, manpower. It's a logistical nightmare trying to organize content that's going to appeal to all those different audiences. Sign-up pages need to be coordinated for all those different types of audiences. So if you really are serious about succeeding, you need to identify one audience that your site is going to be crafted for and towards. Once you know the audience, then you need to find one need and fill it exceptionally well. I'm going to go back a few slides. Don't get dizzy, guys. It's really important to find one problem that you want to solve, much like these brands have done here. A lot of times when people are starting their directories, they want to allow their members to publish coupons and articles and classifieds and properties and events and job listings. It's an exhausting list. Just because those features are available does not mean you need to release them and put all of them linked in your main menu. I'm an advocate to maybe just keeping one and then searching for the professional members and trying to keep it as simple as possible. So If you guys have a lot of areas on your website, types of content for people to search out of the gate, you might be creating a little more work than is required to launch your site for yourself. Let's go back to this slide here. The third here is having a clear mission and reasons to join your website. I want to pass this one to Pat because you were talking about the value of having specific reasons to join your website and things that most people think are reasons but actually aren't reasons to join a website.
Yeah, and I find it amazing because if people are selling a physical product, if you tell somebody, we all heard the interview question, grab this pen and sell it to me. People are very creative. Well, this pen is guaranteed never to have ink spill and it's durable and you could drive a car over it. When you're selling a physical product, usually in your pitch, what you're trying to do is tell the audience what's different about your physical product, why that pen is better than another pen. If I'm going to sell a shoe, I need to come up with a reason why you want to buy this shoe. Is it made of lighter material? Is it more durable? Is it because it's made in the country that I reside in? Is it because we give a pair for free every time you buy one to somebody that's needy? There needs to be a reason why people want to buy that product. However, when you look at an online membership or association website, a lot of times people don't go through the trouble of giving you that pitch. It's not evidence of why I want to join that website. It's just join the website, find lawyers, find this. That's sure it's something I can do, but if I were to try to sell a pen and say, well, you should buy it because you can write with it, well, yeah, I understand I can write with the pen. Why should I buy that pen? And it's important to go through the exercise and just imagine your directory as a physical product and pitch it to that end user, that audience that you've defined.
So when you say so let's say I go to a directory website, and all it says is search and find lawyers. That's not good enough, you're saying, Pat? That's not enough of a reason to get someone to want to use the site?
I would not say that it can work if you have an incredible amount of content and you have a finished product. They might give it a shot. They might do the search and they might see what kind of data they get in return. But it would be a difficult sell to get them to buy into your platform. Usually when you're getting started and you're trying to break into a niche, you're trying to break into a new sector and you have existing competitors, you need something that's going to differentiate yourself somehow, some way. That's why local directories oftentimes have a little bit of a competitive edge, because when you're on the phone, you're able to really take that local angle. Well, why advertise with us? Because we're local, because all of our entire audience are your potential customers. All of our promotions go out to your potential customers. There is a big why there. Why be on this directory? Because we're supporting each other. We're part of a community, and it's important that
I want to stop you right there. I want to stop you
yeah.
right there. You use two words that are really important. Because we're. That's a mission. Because we're doing X, Y, and Z is a website's mission. And in the past, those link farms, those link directories didn't need missions. They were just ranking for Google and trying to get page views. But now it is about your mission and what your messaging is to potential members. So I just wanted to interrupt you there because everyone needs to be able to finish that sentence, because we're doing X, Y, and Z, and then you want to finish it with for X, Y, and Z. We're doing X, Y, and Z for X, Y, and Z. And if you can't finish a sentence like that or say a sentence like that, then you don't have a clear message or an audience, a clear single audience for your website. So this is why it's so important to be able to identify these things. I know we listed the text here. This would be a great flow chart, this 1 through 5 with arrows pointing from step to step. So let me just, before we go to 4 and 5 here, identify your audience, find one need, explain your mission and reasons to join and why people should participate. Then your website should provide resources that directly support your mission. Because we're trying to do X, Y, and Z for X, Y, and Z, those are the types of resources you should keep on your site. And number 5 is get rid of everything else. Seriously. The number one thing that our recommendations on Webinar Wednesdays is to remove things from the website because they're getting in the way of your main messaging. And all of this is important is because you only have a few moments for people to connect with your brand and your messaging. So the more noise you have, less is more in situations like this because you're being very direct with people and you're making it very easy for them to connect with your mission, and therefore they'll most likely want to join your cause and go on that journey with you. So Pat, I'm still going to pass this one back to you because you were pretty adamant about the steps in this slide. There's 5 signs to make sure that you're on the right track with the way that you've established and set up your directory website. And again, the point here is to keep things simple and direct.
Yeah, and obviously the home page is where it all starts. It's really critical that it is explaining the problem that you're solving primarily is what you want to be explaining on the home page. You want to make it clear what it is you're solving to the community that you're trying to cater to. And when you're doing that, you want to make sure that you're speaking directly to that one main audience. For example, we were talking earlier about Yelp, and we were talking about who pays the bills for Yelp. Well, it's the restaurant owners, the business owners. They pay to advertise, and they keep that puppy going. But who does it cater to? What is the content directed to? It's directed to the person that visits the restaurant. So even though they're making money off of the restaurant owners, you go to their homepage, you're not going to find anything about tips for restaurant owners, joining their website, landing pages. It's going to be everything tailor-made for that audience that they're trying to attract. I know we've gone over this site as an example, but it's one of the more well-known directories. You'd have to go all the way to the footer and find a small link in the footer that says claim your business and advertise, and that's it. And they know you as the business owner, you're going to look to advertise on that site. You're going to know to go to the footer, but all of that content is tailor-made to that end user. They know who they're speaking to.
That's right. And also they're focused on just a few things, is finding restaurants and reading reviews. So the reviews, the restaurants are the business listings, and the reviews are that secondary type of content that people are searching for. Now, Yelp is very established now. They offer coupons and things like that, but it didn't start like that. It was basically restaurants and reviews. So they kept it very simple. They chose one lane, reviews and searching the businesses, and that's how they've grown from there. The next thing you need to do is engage your community. So you need to find ways to share updates so people see that the mission that you're so proud of, that you are actually doing things to support that mission. If you're helping local businesses, write a post about something you've done for local businesses, showcase a local business on your social media, or write an article about them. Do the work to show them that you stand behind your mission and that you're not just a stagnant website with links on it, that there's an actual pulse coming from your hub, from your website. So that's why it's important to share updates, as people want to see that there's a pulse, there's activity behind the brand. It can't stay stagnant.
And that's why we really liked localshops1.com when we did that audit a few webinars ago, because there were pictures of it was a local directory, and you could see all the business owners getting together, organizing meetings, doing activities, and sharing that. It's a local directory. We're a community. Here's the proof that we're active and we're going towards the mission that we've set when we launched this particular directory.
Right. So new people can see the outreach. Existing people get the benefits of the work you're doing that supports your mission. And then the last thing is to have an onboarding or nurture strategy. And essentially what that means is it's just your way of reaching out to people after they've signed up with you. So that can be welcome emails, asking them to join your social media or engage with your social media, picking up the phone and helping them set up their profiles on your directory website and welcoming them, and also providing them with useful updates, maybe through newsletters and things of that nature. But keeping the relationship alive is very important, and you can demonstrate your expertise and credibility within your industry through those nurture strategies. So after someone signs up to your site, instead of, you obviously want to think of who's next to sign up, find ways to provide additional value and surprise them and wow those people who have just taken the time to join your website, whether it's for a free or paid membership sign up.
And oftentimes, and I find it interesting, some people do a decent job with the onboarding and the nurturing of new members. They see those dollar signs, they're chasing them, they want to make those first sales. Very understandable. But another demographic that might be even more important to be nurturing are those end users, if you've defined them not to be the members. So for example, Yelp, their main audience is the person that's going to come to the site to leave a review. So after they receive a review, you'd want to nurture the reviewer, not just the business. If somebody contacts your member, that's a lead for you. It's in your lead engine. You have their email. You should absolutely enroll them in a nurturing campaign, get them back to the site, get their feedback, get them involved, get them participating, get them to join your Facebook group, do whatever it is that you have to do to get them to feel like there's still more to be done on your website. So you can nurture your members, but also the people that are using and browsing your website.
Yeah, I'd say actually that's even more important to that point, Pat, that you just made, is giving the end user more reasons to come back to your site through the nurture strategies and sequences. What really spawned this whole tip of the week, and this was kind of a big presentation for us because a lot of it is very abstract. The point that I want, the most important takeaway that I'd like everyone to have from this is this. Directory websites are awesome, but it's still a product and it needs to be packaged properly. And a good method to package your directory is more of showing people that you're an organization, you're a community, and you're not just a directory of links where people can only search and post, that there's an actual personality and there's a culture behind the website's name. So when you do that, it will help people, it'll resonate with people better. It makes people feel like they're part of something when they're part of a community, rather than just being listed in a directory. They feel like, just like I said, they're part of a community, and they'll stick around a whole lot longer when they feel that vibe and that presence from your organization. So that's really the main point that I wanted to share with this is, if you can create a sense of community behind your brand, it's easier for people to stick around and also easier for them to join and be part of your mission, whether it's passively or actively, or they just want to follow you. You've now given them a reason and a purpose of a mission to follow. And that's really the point that I wanted to make here, that it's not just creating a directory and leaving it online so people can join. You got to have a voice and a personality to really make people stick around in today's evolved world.